Yeah. Otherwise, we can go on to the next two verses.
Hare Krishna, are there any comments or questions on this? There are no more questions or comments. We can, Prabhuji, text 16 and 17 is long, so we have given it 2 days, today and tomorrow. So what would you like us to read the whole purport?
Well, what I think is we should read a paragraph and then see if there's any comments or questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, for text
and then
15,
we should stop halfway through the purport. If you want to have the rest tomorrow, then we should stop halfway.
Okay. Okay. Prabhuji, for text 15, when they said unbroken fruits, so when you offer the fruits to the Lord, do you cut these fruits and offer, or do you offer the fruits whole?
They can be offered either way. And fruits, once they're cut, it's not that you can cut a piece of banana and then offer the rest the next day. But if you have an eggplant, you can take a piece and then use the other part another day. That's one detail about at least the temple cooking for the deity.
So either you can offer the fruit whole, or you can cut it and offer, either way.
Yeah, yes. I mean, usually in the temples, we offered their cut with other fruits. But there's no offense for offering a whole fruit. No.
And Prabhuji, in the last purport, in the text 14, it was said that the unbroken seeds of grain were strewed over the public places. So rice, the ones that are unbroken should be used as an offering.
Well, this is for like in Jagyas, and in this particular situation of greeting, decorating and offering. But we don't. But when we offer grains to the deities, we don't offer the rice in the husk, and we cook it. Right? Yeah. So this is for this particular. But for Jagya, we see sometimes it's decorated with unbroken grains. Yeah.
Arya Govind Prabhu, you had something to
Yes.
say? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Actually, Prabhupada once has, I think, said in one of the yagyas, I think initially he asked his devotees to bring the fruits, and then they usually, they cut the fruits and brought, and then he chastised them that, for yagyas, you should not cut the fruits and bring.
Yeah. So it
Yes.
depends on the circumstance. Yeah.
Correct. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but when you are offering to the deities at home, you can cut the fruit and offer.
Usually it's cut. But suppose you have a garden and you have some fruit, some mango, and you just want to immediately offer the first one that you pick. There's no harm. Krishna will accept.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Okay, Arya Govind Prabhu, is it possible for you to read the text 16 and 17, and then translation and half the purport?
Well, let's go a paragraph at a time in the purport.
Okay,
One
Mataji.
paragraph at a time. Okay, so the
purport
first paragraph.
describes persons, each personality. So I didn't really mean paragraph, but after the description of each person. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So I read the text,
Arya Govind
Mataji.
Prabhu, kindly continue. Hare Krishna.
I read the text
Yes,
of
text.
16 and 17. Okay.
Yes, and then the translation and the first paragraph of the purport.
Nishamya preshtam ayantam Vasudevo Mahamanaha Akruraskagrastenascha Ramaschabhuta Vikrama Pradyumnascharudesnascha Sambho Jambavati Suta Praharsha Vegochashita Sayanashana Bhojana. Translation. On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwaraka Dhama, magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrura, Ugrasena, Balarama, the superhumanly powerful Pradyumna, Charudesna, and Simbha and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abundant resting, sitting, and dining. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vasudeva, son of King Surasena, husband of Devaki and father of Lord Sri Krishna. He is the brother of Kunti and father of Subhadra. Subhadra was married with her cousin Arjuna. And this system is still prevalent in some parts of India. Vasudeva was appointed minister of Ugrasena. And later on, he married 8 daughters of Ugrasena's brother Devaka. Devaki is only one of them. Kamsa was his brother-in-law. And Vasudeva accepted voluntary imprisonment by Kamsa on mutual agreement to deliver the 8th son of Devaki. This was foiled by the will of Krishna. As maternal uncle of the Pandavas, he took active parts in the purificatory process of the Pandavas. He sent for the priest Kashyapa at Satashringa Parvata, and he executed the functions. When Krishna appeared within the bars of Kamsa's prison house, he was transferred by Vasudeva to the house of Nanda Maharaja, the foster father of Krishna. At Gokula, Krishna disappeared along with Baladeva prior to the disappearance of Vasudeva and Arjuna, Vasudeva's nephew, undertook the charge of the funeral ceremony after Vasudeva's disappearance. Akrura, the commander-in-chief.
Excuse me, we can stop here.
Hare
And
Krishna, Prabhuji.
yeah.
Okay,
And we
okay,
can
Mataji.
does anyone have any questions or comments or discussion? One thing I wanted to bring out from the text 15 is, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the process of reception. And of course, in all cultures and families, we receive people. Someone comes to visit us, a relative, or sometimes a dignitary, some person of government or military, and there is reception. So in the Vedic culture, there are festivals, utsava. There's this word utsava, which means to celebrate or to have a festival. So the Vedic culture is, we have many festivals. Srila Prabhupada says the process of reception is not at all dry. So Srila Prabhupada often speaks about dry, like dry philosophy. That religion without sentiment is just dry philosophy. And religion which is just philosophy, or philosophy without sentiment of bhakti, is just dry. And bhakti without philosophy is often just sentimental. So Krishna consciousness is meant to be happy. When we read Srila Prabhupada's letters to his disciples and listen to his lectures, he's always asking, is everyone happy? And he has spoken how the Vedic culture means everyone should be as happy as possible, not miserable. Of course, life has many challenges, but it's where Krishna wants, as far as possible, that we're happy. So whenever there is some festival or festivity, like a birthday or a wedding, it's a time for people to get together and meet and usually there is good food and music and dancing. So that those are important parts of culture. It's important parts of human life to have that. As they say, all work and no play makes a person miserable. So do devotees have parties? Do devotees have festivals? Yes, we do. We have many festivals all during the year. And in general, these are centered upon the appearance or disappearance of pure devotee or Lord Krishna himself in his different forms. And we have an opportunity to have a happy festival. And usually, isn't it, the temples are decorated in a special way, and we have the special dressing of the deities, and they are offered special offerings like Janmashtami, Ram Nomi, Lord Nrsimha's appearance day. 108 preparations are prepared in some temples or more. So festival, a happy time, centered around Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. And also birthdays and weddings are there in Vedic culture. So these are important, and they're meant to be happy occasions. We are not meant to live just eating dry chapatis and bare rice and somehow dragging through, waiting to go back to Godhead. Uh, that is kindness of Krishna that he gives us that. So no discussion or comments about Vasudev, the father of Lord Krishna. Very interesting to hear all these details about these persons who lived and breathed, real people. So if you'd like to continue, Arya Govinda Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, yes.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Prabhuji, it says over here that the Vasudeva accepted voluntary imprisonment by Kamsa on mutual agreement to deliver the eighth son of Devaki. This was foiled by the will of Krishna. So was Krishna involved here, or both the Vasudeva and Kamsa made this deal?
Well, Vasudeva accepted, you might say, voluntary imprisonment. He had followers. Theoretically, there could have been a battle, but rather than have people, soldiers on both sides die, he accepted this as the plan of the Lord. And he agreed with Kamsa, as we remember at the very beginning, he promised Kamsa, I will bring each of my children for you to deal with as you like. But the whole thing was foiled. The eighth child of Devaki, or the seventh, was Lord Balaram, and he was transferred, and it seemed to be a miscarriage. And then Lord Krishna himself was transferred to Mother Jashoda without Kamsa knowing. So Krishna spoiled the whole plan of Kamsa. Kamsa's plan was to somehow stop his death. But Krishna's more clever than anyone. So just like Lord Nrsimhadev or Hiranyakashipu was asking Lord Brahma for so many very specific benedictions how he would not be killed. But there were loopholes, and Lord Krishna, as Nrsimha, found those loopholes. Obviously, he inspired Lord Brahma to leave those loopholes open, and so he killed Hiranyakashipu, not inside or outside, not by a man or an animal, but rather as the half man, half lion on the doorstep of the palace. So Krishna, Srila Prabhupada would say that don't try and cheat Krishna. He is much bigger cheater than you. If we try and think that we can make shortcuts somehow and trick Krishna, it won't work. Yeah. There is even I have seen a poster, something where it says uh, that God sometimes, not in a mean way, but God sometimes laughs at our plans because our plans only go so very little distance. You know, He has more deep plans that we can imagine for all of us. That go on not just for this life, but lifetimes in the past and lifetimes in the future. Very long range plans. This morning I was reading in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita about how Lord Krishna, everything is coming from him, but he is not directly involved. In fact, Srila Prabhupada uses the sentence in the 9th chapter, he has nothing to do with the material world. And that's a very significant statement. Sometimes people, we speak about God blesses, oh, this family must be blessed. They got a big government contract, they have so much money, they have nothing to worry about financially. God has blessed them. And then someone else, the business burns, everything is destroyed, and God is punishing them. So this is a common kind of thinking, which is very, very common. But actually, God doesn't bless anyone. God didn't wake up one morning and decide that I'm going to give this family, this big government agricultural contract, and their life is going to prosper. And then this other family, I feel like destroying their life. It's not like that. Which is, so then it raises the question, well, then should we give thanks to God if I do get a material gain? Yes, of course. But we are able to have a much deeper understanding. So I was thinking this morning that even what to speak of Krishna, even the prime minister of a country, he has nothing to do with day-to-day government grants and the workings of the government justice system. He probably knows, or she knows, very little about it. But still, he is the one, or she is the one, who is responsible. And originally, the government is the one who has set up the whole system. But at the same time, we may go to a government office to get a loan to start a business. But it's not the same as if we had gone to the prime minister and they took out their checkbook and they handed us their personal check. That's different. But at the same time, the fact that there is a government loan program, we give thanks to the prime minister, or we ask why there isn't a program. So, so much depends upon us, as we have spoken about before, that living in a country, what we have and what we don't have. We can't hold the prime minister 100% responsible. We have so much responsibility for our situation of life. And the same is true with respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're hearing about these very intimate associates of Krishna, and they do have this one-to-one relationship. Krishna does take out his checkbook and write personal checks and helps them directly. So that is we spoke last week about the quality of our relationships. So because of the quality of their relationship with Krishna, he is directly involved in their existence. And to the extent that we surrender to Krishna, he will be directly involved. As he says, Yeyatamam prapadyante, tams tataiva bhajamaha. So as we truly surrender our soul and we live under the protection of Krishna, and we actually live as he wants us to live, and we feel ourselves dependent upon him, then we will experience and have more of a direct, as Krishna says, Sarvadama priyaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam savar papebhyo moksha shami ma sutaha. Just like we read in the Krishna book, and we read in other places. Prahlad Maharaj prayed for God to help him, and he directly appeared in the different pastimes of Lord Krishna. The residents of Vrindavan would be in various difficulties, and they would call out for his help, and he would personally help them. So that does that mean that that's only available to them? But it's a matter of degree. When we, especially after we take initiation, and we have, as Srila Prabhupada said, made a contract with Krishna. We vow, we promise, I will do this, 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 this. And I give I vow to keep myself close to you and in your protection. Then Krishna does take significant direct charge. And Srila Prabhupada discusses this in different places. In the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he speaks about this, that when Krishna says he takes direct charge, it means Krishna. According to our Baba, some of us may become very accept the form of Krishna as Lord Nrsimhadev, or Lord Balaram, Lord Ramachandra, and pray and feel ourselves the servant of Krishna in a particular form. But in either case, to the extent that we really do that, then he does take direct charge. And when we ask for his help in some difficult situation, just like Gajendra the elephant, of course, he was a great Vaishnava in his last life. So Gajendra, when he was caught by the crocodile, he offered prayer. He said, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he began to offer prayers to Lord Vishnu, to Krishna as Vishnu, that there's no way I can help myself. And Lord Vishnu himself appeared on the back of Garuda. So I've heard a number of narratives, maybe some of you have as well, of devotees being in a dangerous situation, perhaps on the verge of being attacked. And somehow, just like Srila Prabhupada describes it, as a young boy, somehow his pants caught on fire. And there happened to be a man who came suddenly and put the fire out. And there's a number of instances like that. I have heard devotees out distributing books, and some demoniac persons trying to physically attack them. And they call out, Nrsimhadev, Nrsimhadev. And suddenly some big man comes and scares the attackers away, or something like that. So it does happen. It does happen. It may not be Lord Vishnu on the back of Garuda, but somehow Krishna sends help. Or if we're ill, Krishna may not appear with his peacock feather to give us medicine on a spoon, but he will enable us to get the information that we need. Maybe we'll hear two people talking, or we'll ask someone, and Krishna will send us the information that we need to solve our difficulty. So what really is the difference? Either way, the solution is made available to us. And I'm sure all of us have had some experience with that. So it is very wonderful. We're hearing of these. I really transcendentally enjoy hearing these purports which describe the different persons. There's a few of them within Srimad Bhagavatam. And it gives such a sense of the family of Krishna and the reality of people who love Krishna and are in love with Krishna and are happy to see him. It's nice that there's some people who are happy to see Krishna because there's so many that are not. So here we can we have these bhakti scriptures, and of course ourselves. I mean, we all are attracted to Krishna, and we all are interested in Krishna, and we together we appreciate the superlative special position of these devotees, these highly advanced pure devotees. So we come together as devotees to associate with those who are more advanced in the nectar of instruction, or the Upadeshamrita. Srila Rupa Goswami describes how we associate with different devotees, how we can identify the different levels of devotees. Someone who's just chanting and is not initiated and not regularly serving should be offered mental respect. Someone who's initiated and seriously following should be offered respectful obeisance. And then he describes that for the Uttamadhikari, the very pure devotees, we should hear from them. We should associate with them and hear from them. So we are doing that. We are hearing about Vasudeva and Devaki and Arjuna and Akrura and Subhadra. All these different persons, they are here in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop there and we can continue. I don't think we read about Akrura. Any questions or comments so far?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. Prabhuji, I just wanted to clarify my understanding regarding when Vasudeva brought baby Krishna to Nanda Maharaj. Was he swapped with a little baby girl? Did Yashoda mother gave a birth to a little baby girl and he was swapped with her?
Yes, they were
And he
exchanged.
was taken back to the prison. Okay.
Yeah. Then later Kamsa tried to kill her and she flew up in the sky because actually she's an expansion of Durga Ma.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, that makes sense because she did a big sacrifice of herself, isn't it? And
Who?
the baby girl, I suppose she disappeared and she can we understand as that she sacrificed her life for Krishna or
Well, Lord Krishna had originally requested her to make an arrangement to transfer him to the womb of Mother Dashoda. So as a servant of Lord Krishna, she was doing that.
okay. Yes, that makes sense, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, he said that he sent for the priest Kashyapa at Satranga Parvata and executed the functions. So, priest Kashyapa is being mentioned here, who lives in this mountain Satranga. Prabhuji, any features we should know about this personality, priest Kashyapa?
That was in the about Vasudeva. Where is that?
Yes, in the last line, Vasudev was the maternal uncle of the Pandavas, and he took active part in the purificatory process of the Pandavas. And I'm assuming that he sent for priest Kashyapa, who is from Satranga Parvata, and he executed the functions of
Oh, I
probably.
see, for the purificatory process of the Pandavas. I see. No, I'm not familiar directly with that particular part of the Mahabharata. Yeah.
And Prabhuji, what are the purificatory processes?
I don't know them all. Srila Prabhupada describes in the beginning of the 10th canto that there are purificatory functions prior to conception of a child, certain rituals that are done at the birth of the child, both for the child and for the mother. At least according to traditional Vedic culture, the mother goes into seclusion for some number of days. There are purificatory rites before a wedding, before chanting mantras. It means to make pure mind and body after some significant event or before some significant event. And there's different ones at the time of departure of someone. There's purificatory rites both for the family of the deceased and for those who are directly involved in preparing the body for cremation. So there's so many different purificatory rites, yeah, that keep our mind and body pure. So at some point, at a number of points, the Pandavas engage themselves in purificatory activities. Yeah. Is that all
Thank
right?
you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's okay. Arya Govit Prabhuji, kindly take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I had heard a story of one small girl who was worshipping Lord Nrsimha in South Africa, and she was, she had a deity, and then she was very attached to the Nrsimha deity. And then once she was crossing the road, and then a fast approaching vehicle came, and it was almost, it's a bad collision. She would have, almost dead. And then suddenly she was lifted and placed elsewhere. In the sense, afterwards, they analyzed that there was some marks on her body, that somebody's fingers went into her body. So, this is a pastime which I had heard about few years ago, because, Lord Nrsimha protected her, and then, otherwise she could not have survived that major accident.
Yes.
So there are still instances that God intervenes in devotee's life, and then he protects. Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna. I'll continue the Akrura. Akrura, the commander-in-chief of the Vishnu dynasty and a great devotee of Lord Krishna, Akrura attained success in devotional service to the Lord by the one single process of offering prayers. He was the husband of Sutani, daughter of Ahuka. He supported Arjuna when Arjuna took Subhadra forcibly away by the will of Krishna. Both Krishna and Akrura went to see Arjuna after his successful kidnapping of Subhadra. Both of them presented dowries to Arjuna after this incident. Akrura was present also when Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, was married to Uttara, mother of Maharaja Parikshit. Ahuka, the father-in-law of Krura, was not on good terms with Akrura, but both of them were devotees of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So Akrura was the brother of Kunti, Queen Kunti. And he, obviously, we can understand his level of pure devotion. He was so close to Lord Krishna. An older gentleman. We know he was sent by Kamsa to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, and he offered wonderful prayers. I like to read those. I like to listen to them a lot. There's also another. There are many, but something else related to Akrura. Later on in Dwarka, when the Shamantaka jewel was stolen by the father of Queen Satyabhama. Akrura became involved in the killing of who was it? It slips my mind. See, how did that work? Oh, Shatrajit. Shatrajit stole the Shamantaka jewel, and then his brother Prasenna took it, wanting to have some prestige. And then he was killed by Jambavan, and Lord Krishna retrieved the jewel from Jambavan, and they had a long fight for many, many days. And it ended up, as we may know, that one thing is that Jambavan gave his wife Jambavati in marriage to Lord Krishna. And then later on, in the course of that situation, Akrura was involved in a plot to kill Shatrajit, which was a very offensive thing to do, and of course sinful to murder someone. So the question was raised that how could someone like Akrura, such a cultured person, a pure devotee of Krishna, get involved in that? And the Vaishnavacharyas trace it down to the fact that he made an offense to the gopis. So this is an example of how careful we should be against Vaishnava aparadh. That whatever we do, we have to do it in a Krishna conscious way, especially when it involves another devotee feeling bad. So Akrura, when he went to bring Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, the gopis were very upset, and he didn't go to them and give them any explanation. He knew that they were upset. They were asking, "Why are you doing this?" And he made no attempt to pacify their feelings. And it's described that their anger at him and their cursing him was the reason that he later became involved in this sinful activity later on. So sometimes we have to discipline another devotee, even our own children. But it shouldn't be done in a cruel way. And it should be done with some explanation and feelings of regret, just like we hear about who was it? I think the father of Lord Chaitanya, or and also the Srila Prabhupada's father. And he said, I'm sorry, I have to chastise you, but I must. It is my duty to do this, you know. So sometimes parents will say, this hurts me worse than it hurts you. It is even more emotionally painful when someone does something which is hurtful to us, and they make no explanation. You know, even a friend who says something very hurtful to us, and they don't come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had a horrible headache for 2 days, I lost my mind, I'm sorry." Or they don't say they're sorry, but they explain. At least we can forgive them. And if Akrura had said to the gopis, "I'm so very, very sorry. I know you're feeling so sad. I wish I wasn't doing this, but Kamsa has requested me. And if I don't do this, there could be more suffering to the people of Vrindavan. So I'm sorry, but this is the situation." So maybe they would forgive him because he gave an explanation, but he didn't. And so, yeah, so that is a very interesting example of how subtle Vaishnava aparadh can be. Of course, the gopis, they're such exalted devotees. And managers and parents and leaders, we shouldn't be too sentimental either. That, well, this person's chanting Hare Krishna, but they're molesting some women, and I'm not going to say something because they're chanting. No, they must be dealt with. But even then, I'm sorry, you have to leave the temple, or I'm calling the police. You have put me in a position where I have to do it, and I wish I didn't. I know you're a devotee or trying to be a devotee. We make some explanation, and we try and do it as gently as possible. But we do take action, not presenting ourselves that we're enjoying punishing the person, or we don't care, you know. Any questions about that or discussion?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, why did Akrura not give the explanation? Because he was such a perfect gentleman and
I
he
don't know.
belonged to this.
I
Krishna
don't know.
dynasty.
I haven't read anything or heard anything about that. Ultimately, why did Yudhisthira agree to the gambling match? Surely he was meditating and looking within his heart for the intuition, for the understanding from Krishna. So it was just part of Krishna's long-range plan that somehow or other he agreed, yes, let me gamble away everything. And not to blame Krishna, but it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah. Why do people cross the road and they don't look for car and they get hit by the car? Every other time they look. One time they don't look. So we don't blame Krishna, but because of their past activities and what they deserve, Krishna just doesn't let them remember. Ishwar Sarvabhutanam Hrideshu Dunitistati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudrani Maya. I am in the hearts of all living entities, directing the wanderings of everyone. Sarvasitaham Sanivasta Mata Smirta Gyanam Apahonam Cha. I'm the one who's giving remembrance, knowledge, and intelligence, memory.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We can proceed. Are there any other questions or comments? We still have 10 minutes, so we can
Look
do
at that.
another
I mean, Lord
personality.
Krishna could have inspired Hiranyakashipu. That please bless me, I will not be killed inside, outside, or on a doorstep. But Krishna didn't give him that. He could have, but he didn't. A long-range plan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll continue.
Yeah.
Ugrasena, one of the powerful kings of the Vrishni dynasty and cousin of Maharaja Kunti Bhoja. His other name is Ahuka. His minister was Vasudeva, and his son was the powerful Kamsa. This Kamsa imprisoned his father and became the king of Mathura. By the grace of Lord Krishna and his brother Lord Baladeva, Kamsa was killed, and Ugrasena was reinstalled on the throne. When Shalva attacked the city of Dwaraka, Ugrasena fought very valiantly and repulsed the enemy. Ugrasena inquired from Narada Ji about the divinity of Lord Krishna. When Yadu dynasty was to be vanquished, Ugrasena was entrusted with the iron lump produced from the womb of Samba. He cut the iron lump into pieces and then pasted it and mixed it up with the sea water on the coast of Dwarka. After this, he ordered complete prohibition within the city of Dwarka and the kingdom. He got salvation after his death. Hare Krishna.
Anyone have some questions or comments about this? I'll explain about the iron lump. Maybe some of you already know, but there is a whole narrative in the 11th canto, in the first and second chapters about this. That right before the departure of Lord Krishna, he arranged for the main leaders, his intimate associates of Dwarka, to go back to Godhead, because he didn't want to leave them on earth. They had become a little careless, thinking themselves so close to Krishna and free to do anything and everything. And he didn't want them to become a problem, and also to keep them close to him. So he arranged that there was fighting amongst the family members, amongst the Yadu dynasty, and they killed each other in a big battle. There was only 2 or 3 leading members of the Yadu dynasty left after this battlefield, after this battle. And Uddhava was one of them. So what happened, there's as we were speaking about long range plans and the arrangements of Krishna. So one time, this Shamba, the grandson of Lord Krishna, son of Shamba, the son of Lord Krishna from Jambavati. So he and his friends, you can imagine teenagers, just doing silly things. So there was a great sage they ran into, and they made fun of this sage, and they offended him. And he cursed Samba that he would give birth to an iron lump. And it actually happened somehow. And Samba threw it into the ocean, and a fisherman caught a fish who had this I don't understand that, because the narrative was that this, oh, I see, the iron lump was ground, but there were still large pieces. And so then a hunter found one of these pieces, and Jara, the hunter, and he put it on the end of an arrow, and with this arrow, it hit the heel of Lord Krishna. And just as a pastime, as a leela, Lord Krishna used this as an excuse or an opportunity to end his leela here on earth. So Ugra is saying, when he heard the story, because the boys went to him and explained what would happen, he had this lump ground into powder. But that's another instance of how the plans of mice and men are often spoiled by destiny. It doesn't matter whether you're small or big. We have our plans, and destiny, ultimately, the will of Krishna decides what will actually happen. So therefore, that saying, maybe some of you know the Hindi, that for one who is protected by Krishna, no one can kill him. And for one who is destined to be killed, no one can protect him, because ultimately everything is in the hands of Krishna. There's karma and there's destiny, but he is the one who arranges, he's the one who sanctions, he's the one who can override karma. No other. See, that's another. Why do you worship Lord Krishna? Why not Lord Shiva? Why not Durga Ma? Because only Lord Krishna has the power to release us from our karma, no one else. He is beyond material good and bad. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, that was Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke, Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke.
Right. Yeah. Even without doing something, even without making much effort, something that we want can happen easily. And even after much effort, something that we want to achieve, it may be very difficult or never happen. So therefore devotees are advised to not struggle too much. Instead of to be satisfied with what comes easily. That if after 8-10 hours of work, I make so much money and that's it. And however I can live with that money, that's how I'm not going to work 14, 16, 18 hours a day so I can have higher standard of living and my spirituality goes to hell. That's the idea of simple living. It's not that we don't make some effort or that we can't make some effort to be comfortable, but not to the point that it interferes with our bhakti practices. If it's something is bothersome, if there's some botheration, then I'll just tolerate it rather than over endeavoring, because that's one of the 6 reasons for fall down that's given in the Nectar of Instruction. There are six practices that help us, and there are 6 things that don't help us. And one of them is over endeavoring for a mundane thing. Why? Because then we won't finish our rounds, or we won't skip our reading or whatever. That's what sometimes we hear about, just like it's described about Nala Kuber and Manigri when they were cursed by Narada Muni. And so in that narrative, it's described as someone who doesn't have much money, who's not able to eat luxurious foods, and they may be a little weak, but they're not as likely to get into trouble and do sinful things, drink and party and chase men, chase women. They don't have the strength for that, or they don't have the money for that. So automatically, they achieve the benefits of a Brahmin, of the austerity of a Brahmin, because Brahmin doesn't mean necessarily poor. It just means that they keep themselves Brahminical. But in order to keep yourself Brahminical, you have to accept austerity. That I'm not going to eat too much, because if I eat too much, I'll just become, my mind will become overly strong and passionate. If I eat too many chilies and too much curry, my brain will become hot-headed and I won't be able to think clearly. So I don't. So that's a voluntary austerity. So we say the austerity of a Brahmin means that they make choices, they sacrifice, they accept voluntary suffering. I'm not going to eat 3 pieces of cake at 9 o'clock at night. I won't be able to chant in the morning. So that's a sacrifice. It's an austerity. I want to do it, but I won't. So that's austerity. So the austerity of Brahmins. And then in return, that is our love. That is our love. It's just like a man who's at work and some woman is flirting with him. And so he thinks, I could, but I won't. It's not the right thing. I don't want to hurt my wife. I don't want to violate the trust my wife has in me or my husband has in me. So it is an expression of love, actually. So that's how Krishna takes it. Oh, you really wanted those 3 pieces of cake, but you don't want to go apart from me. And so you gave up doing that. It's love. And Krishna appreciates that. And it's good to remind ourselves that it may not seem like much, but when we get up in the morning and we don't really feel like it and we chant or we push ourselves to read, Krishna, that's love. I mean, it may not be the love of Mother Yashoda for Krishna, but it is a kind of love. It's putting our money where our mouth is, right? If a husband says, I love you, but he's flirting with other women, what's that? What's that, right? And that's a very graphic example. Or a child says, yes, I love you, mommy, but they don't clean the room or whatever they don't do. That's not love. I'll stop here. It's late.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, we have exhausted our time. Thank you so much for today's session. I request Arya Govind Prabhu kindly end the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I remember once Prabhupada saying that by eating less, it's not, I mean, we are not going to die. Eating less is better than eating more and then having problems. Yeah, so I was just remembering that. So thank you for this wonderful, class, and then practical tips on how to improve our sadhana, how to improve our bhakti, and then, I mean, all these examples of great devotees that we discussed. It is glorious. So thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I request all the devotees to assemble, to unmute, and then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in glorification of His grace, Dina Sharan Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Dina Sharan Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Prabhuji.
All glories to
Thank you.
Guru and Sri
Hare Krishna.
Gauranga.
Thank
Thank you for
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.